Energy, Industries and Minister in the Office of the Honourable Prime Minister. A very good morning and a warm welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Zelisa. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Freedom Monday once again. I am Bo Tiwari, and my special guest today is the Honourable Minister of Energy and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Minister Stuart R. And Minister Young, today I want to have a nice conversation with you about the country. Not so much about politics, but more about the issues that affect the country, the importance of some of these issues, and what it says or what it implies for the future of our country. And I think it is something that people are going to be very, very interested in. And I will start with something that you got done recently, which is that you went up to London, you visited together with the Honourable Prime Minister, you met with BP and perhaps other oil interests in the British capital. And you did something having to do with Atlantic LNG that is important to the natural gas industry and the LNG industry, but also very important to the future of Trinidad and Tobago and the future of that company. So explain it to the population so that they understand what it is you want to do and what you have achieved.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Zelisa. Pleasure to meet you and pleasure to be here. And of course to my colleague, Dr. Bo Tiwari. Thank you all very much for this opportunity here this morning, and the opportunity really to do exactly as Dr. Tiwari has just asked. Let us understand that Trinidad and Tobago for the past few decades, actually about 5 decades, has been involved more in the gas industry and gas business than oil. We still exploit oil, but today we focused on gas. Natural gas goes to 3 places in Trinidad, Dr. Tiwari. The first is into power generation. Our electricity is generated by natural gas. Yeah. The second is to Point Lisas and a couple plants in Point Fortin to petchems, what we call petroleum chemicals, methanol, ammonia, urea, UAN, and then importantly to LNG. The LNG is liquefied natural gas, and the globe now, especially since last year, February, where you had the Russia-Ukraine war, has become more conscious about energy security. And a big component of that is countries getting LNG. Trinidad and Tobago remains in the top 10 LNG producers in the world.
Yes, that's right.
Right? Now, we do have depleting reserves. We're a small province, as I say. Trinidad and Tobago is a small country, but also a maritime economic zones are also small in comparison to, say, a Qatar or the United States, to Canada, some of the big LNG producers. We have this company called Atlantic LNG, and I say we, meaning Trinidad and Tobago. Train 1 was construction started in about 1995, and the first cargo was left in 1999. It was the largest LNG train plant in the whole Western Hemisphere and in the world at the time. We took a 10% shareholding in that through NGC, we the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Right? The other day when we started this exercise in 2018, which was the restructuring, you had NGC with 10%. You had the largest sovereign Chinese wealth fund in the world, CIC, with 10%. You had BP and Shell as the other 2 major shareholders. What happened is we then went and we had the energy spotlight, because we realized that Trinidad and Tobago should get more returns for the people of Trinidad and Tobago out of our gas reserves, and LNG is a big part of that. At Atlantic, you have trains 2 and 3, where we had no shareholding.
Right.
Then you had train 4, which was the last train to be built, where we took an 11.2% shareholding in it. So we have 10 in 1, 11 in train 4, nothing in 2 and 3. And we went to BP and Shell, who are the largest shareholders in this thing called Atlantic LNG, and who are also, by the way, the largest gas producers in Trinidad and Tobago. BP And then Shell re-emerged in the market in 2017 when they bought off bought over British gas.
That's right.
Right? And immediately the Prime Minister, myself, Minister Khan at the time, engaged with the leadership of these countries, of these companies. Sorry. And of course you do that because when you build relationships with people, they now understand Trinidad and Tobago better. They know who they're talking to, etc. So we told them we want better returns in a nutshell for Trinidad and Tobago, and we fought for it. Fortunately, they listened to us, and in 2018 we began the restructuring conversation for Atlantic LNG, which by the way has never been done anywhere else in the world. You can go and check this. Even last week when we were BP and Shell leadership in London, they both commented that this has never been done in the world, and in fact one of them even commented to us that listen, they are trying to get this done in other countries in the world, and one of them is taking 11 years they've been at it and haven't been able to get it done. We got it done here. What it means is better returns and a better shareholding for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We fought hard. The shareholding now going forward is going to be 10% for NGC, 45 and 45% for BP and Shell, respectively, in this new unitized Atlantic LNG, which means 1, 2, 3, and 4 are now going to be considered as one. Now, you have to understand the reason for this, Dr. Tiwari, was commercial contracts. So you have no shareholding in 2 and 3. So the BPs and Shells would have gone and sold gas long term to people outside there. Shell is the largest LNG trader in the world. And then you have no play in that. So you have to now try and get a play in it. If you work out the prorated shareholding for Trinidad and Tobago in 1, 2, 3, and 4, when you have 10% in 1 and 11 in 3 and 4, it's about 5%.
Yes, yes.
And we managed to get 10% at no cost to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
So you now have, and Hisham, I'll ask you, when the minister is speaking, you can focus on him. You don't have to focus on both of us. When you're talking now about 10% of 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Correct. Of the new structure Atlantic.
We had a situation in which Train 4 was closed.
Train 1.
Yes, that's right. Train 1 was closed.
Which is the oldest train.
Yes, and 2, 3, and 4 were on. So now all of this is coming into play, and you have 10%. But all of that is dependent on the flow of natural gas to NGC. Now that in itself presents a challenge because we have a shortfall. We are trying to negotiate with the Venezuelans on Dragon. We have things in Trinidad and Tobago that might be promising, that we are looking forward, but not realized yet. Talk to me about this tension between what you have achieved for Trinidad and Tobago potentially. When is it going to be triggered, and how does that relate to the flow of gas to make it possible?
Absolutely. 2 other things that are critical for us to understand about the new restructured Atlantic LNG. 1, we also negotiated better formulas for calculation of revenue for the gas that goes in. Previously, it was based on indices that have become irrelevant, for example, Lake Charles at low prices. Now we've been able to negotiate a basket of indices where we said, look, we know some of this gas goes to Asia, some goes to Europe, so we've marked a third is to something called JKM, which is Japan Korean marker, a third is to either NBP or TTF, which is a European marker, and a third is Brent with a discount, which is oil. So that's a better value and revenue to Trinidad. The last thing I'd say about the restructuring board, to feed into the conversation you've just asked me to pursue, is we have also negotiated for third-party access. Okay. Meaning non-shareholders can now get access to Atlantic LNG as a tolling facility. So they can now negotiate, bring their gas to Atlantic, and it becomes LNG. That never existed before.
Okay.
You understand immediately what that means.
Yes.
That now feeds into the conversation about future access to gas. So everybody's focused on our efforts with Dragon, which I'll touch on in a while, but it now opens up much more investment by people who are not shareholders in Atlantic. Because they now say, well, hold on, I no longer may only have to sell my gas to NGC for petchems. I can now sell my gas to Atlantic and go to Atlantic and negotiate via third-party access to get LNG and potentially LNG cargoes. Any serious upstream operator in the world, meaning somebody who goes after gas, wants a play in LNG. So immediately what we've done is we've opened the door. So people are focused, and a lot of naysayers are focused on, Dragon. But it's not only about Dragon. Deep water gas, which we're pursuing, and just this week I'll be meeting with the leadership of Woodside, as I've continuously been meeting.
that is one prospect.
That's deep water. That is the next province of Trinidad and Tobago. We've discovered resources, and now it has opened up the conversation, because they say, hold on, now on Woodside, you'll see right now they're looking at another merger with a company called Santos in Australia, because they intend on becoming a huge LNG player. So now they have access to Atlantic LNG and third-party access. So that opens up their investments in deep water. Just to finish, you now have other operators, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but in the region. You have resources that could be found in Barbados, in Grenada, in Suriname, and we have MOUs with all of them. And there is a pursuit now of the potential of gas coming to Atlantic LNG from outside. So it's not only about Dragon, which is the point I want to make, and with Venezuela, we have opened up now huge ability for other natural gas to come to Trinidad and Tobago, to Atlantic. And I'll tell you all something, it is happening. The conversations are taking place, and as you know, these things, if we sign today, is not going to happen today for tomorrow.
Exactly.
It is at least a 3 years to maybe a 5-year outlook for the gas coming to market, which fits in perfectly with the restructuring of Atlantic LNG. So all of these persons who are looking to invest in the region, and in particular in Trinidad and Tobago, now have the potential access to LNG markets.
Okay, well, the good side of that is you now have multiple potential suppliers of gas to Trinidad and Tobago. Let's take that big thing. But the second thing is that the relationship of NGC to the supply, to the receiving and supply of natural gas has changed.
Correct.
Because you've put another player in the game, because Atlantic LNG now deals with this directly. They can be dealt with directly.
Via one of the shareholders. So the way we've restructured it is the first rights reside with the shareholders. But what we've done for NGC is we have now ensured that NGC is across what we call a whole value chain. So NGC could be a player in upstream, as a percentage holder in upstream projects, because they now have a right to cargoes as shareholders in LNG, Atlantic LNG. So that's a midstream at Atlantic as shareholders, and then the downstream, the right to cargo, to sell cargoes and to trade in LNG cargoes. That's the whole value chain. And again, those are the efforts that, thank God, have come to fruition.
All right, we're going to have to take a break now, and we ask you to stay with us. This is an important conversation for the present and future of Trinidad and Tobago, and we will be right back after the commercials.
So thank you so much for choosing us. Let's say special thanks again going out to Docks Engineering Works Limited, Charon's Bookstores from Trinidad, and of course Lifetime Solutions Limited. Let's go to these important messages. When we return, the conversation continues.
Are you ready to own your own home? But worried about time, money, and construction? We handle it all. With Docks, you can sleep in your dream. Make a down payment of $100K or $150K and we'll build a 2 or 3 bedroom home on your unused land. A home is an investment into your future, so let's help you invest wise, invest well. Payment plans available. We're only a call away.
Charon's Bookstore. For all your school books, stationery items, uniforms, shoes, board games, toys, and much more. Visit them at any of their 3 branches located at 24 Eastern Main Road, Quezay, San Juan. Telephone number 675-9024 or 675-3607. 53 Eastern Main Road, Tunapuna, 663-1884, 663-1476, or 645-3878. Trin City Mall, Trin City. Contact them at 640-3155.
Calm down.
Check out Charon's Bookstore.
Lifetime Solutions, manufacturer of metal roofing, panels, framing, guttering, and related products. Located lot number 26, Omera Industrial Estate in Arima. Give us a call, 646-5813 for further information. Lifetime Solutions. Give us a call today.
The Mid-Center Mall Christmas Swing Market is now open. Over 400 participants. Toys, gift items, home decor, perfumes, t-shirt printing, jewelry, photo portraits, bells, wallets, and so much more. Daily live entertainment, fascinating snow show every hour from 7 p.m. Take pictures with Santa Claus. Fireworks show on Christmas Eve at 9 p.m. Open until the 31st of December, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
It's your final chance to visit the Farbinger Expo. Definitely closing on Sunday, 17 December. Get up to 80% off. All-season sale is now on. Everything must go. Get ready-made garments, furniture, footwear, jewelry, and so much more. It's your final chance to visit the Farbinger Expo. Definitely closing on 17 December.
Super quality supermarket. Best quality and great prices. Get your fresh fruits, vegetables and meats. It's a one-stop shop for the most affordable groceries, baby items, kitchen supplies, bathroom accessories, car care supplies, pet food, toys and lots more, all at Super Quality Supermarket. Wide aisles, fully air-conditioned and secured parking. 3 locations nationwide. Hoover Car Park, Hoover, 98 Endeavour Road, Chagonas, and 47 Tissue Drive, Trincity. Super Quality Supermarket.
Welcome back. Thanks for choosing us. Reminding you our program this morning coming to us with the kind compliments of Docks Engineering Works Limited, Challenge Bookstores, and of course Lifetime Solutions Limited. Dr. Tiwari, welcome back. Mr. Minister, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Zelisa, and welcome back, and thank you for staying with us for this very important conversation on the future of energy in Trinidad and Tobago, and especially the future of natural gas and LNG in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, Minister Young, you said some very important things there. First of all, you are saying contracts or memoranda of understandings or agreements have been signed for multiple sources of gas. That the relationship with Woodside in the deep water is one of the sources that you are looking at within our own province. Thirdly, that this gas is going to come to Trinidad as the receiver, if you want to call it, but the purchasers are going to be both Atlantic LNG and NGC, which is a change. And in doing that, you will be able to really make a distinction between the role of Atlantic LNG as purchaser and the role of NGC as purchaser, right, as they have operated in the past. And you're really talking about developing both sides, I suspect, petrochemicals on the one hand, Atlantic LNG on the other, but creating an opening and opportunity for Atlantic LNG that did not exist before. And you talked about a number of things in the value chain that can make a difference. Now, what would be important to people is the things that you have signed with Atlantic LNG and the players in it. When is that going to be triggered? When is that going to come into being? Secondly, how does that dovetail with the flow of natural gas into Trinidad and Tobago? And thirdly, how does that position us for the negotiations with Venezuela and the implications for natural gas self-sufficiency to meet these several challenges in the natural gas sector?
Thanks a lot, Bo. We are always conscious as the government, and in particular as the Minister of Energy, one of the duties and responsibilities and powers that the Minister of Energy has is all about allocation of gas.
Yes.
So I am always conscious, and we as a government have been conscious from day one about ensuring allocation of gas for the petchem sector, which is all of the plants in Point Lisas and some, as I said, in Point Fortin. We are very, very conscious of that, and a continuous need to feed our power generation side as well as methanol, ammonia, urea, UAN. So fortunately, the minister, according to law, has the right to get involved in allocation of gas, and that is consistently a conversation. So when we negotiated the new production sharing contract with Shell for Manatee, which is going to be the largest gas program in Trinidad in decades, and it is on the way. As we saw last week, Manatee have signed with McDermott and they're pursuing it, and you'll hear about FID in the not too distant future. That has an allocation of gas to petchem and LNG. Even in the conversations with Dragon, there's allocation of gas, and when I signed the agreement in front of President Maduro a few weeks ago, there was an allocation of gas, some of which will come for petchems and some of which will come for LNG. So the government is looking after that to ensure that there's enough gas to fulfill both the LNG side as well as the petchem side. And as you said, Dr. Tiwari, we are not only looking at with the Shells and the BPs we have production sharing contracts and E&P licenses with. We're looking at Woodside. So for example, with Woodside, part of the conversation will be allocation of gas. And that is how we're moving forward. Or memorandums of agreement with other countries outside of Trinidad and Tobago, that is also part of the conversation. And let me tell you how well Trinidad and Tobago is lined up as a result of this. If I were an upstream investor, what I'm looking at, especially with the volatility in the energy market, is the potential that Trinidad and Tobago now has to offer me a spread. And by a spread, I mean I can invest some of my gas into LNG, I can invest some into ammonia and methanol. Last year, ammonia prices went up to $1,400 a metric ton, whereas traditionally it's been down at $350, $250. Today, on my way here, I was checking, it's still up at $650 a metric ton. So I can tell you, in my conversations with the leadership of some of these companies that don't have shareholding in Atlantic LNG, I have challenged them and I've said, listen, Trinidad and Tobago now offers you the potential. Find a way to get ammonia, find a way to get methanol cargoes. So therefore you've spread your risk. So if LNG prices go low and go down, you can make upsides in ammonia and methanol. And that is something that we in Trinidad and Tobago fortunately have, that there is access not only to one product, one component, meaning LNG or ammonia methanol. I can tell you it has met with a lot of enthusiasm by the leadership of some of these other upstream producers, and they recognized immediately, and they've now challenged their professional staff on the commercial side to see how they may be able to get better upsides, and it augurs well for Trinidad and Tobago. So what we've done should not for a moment be underestimated. It has opened up massive access to new markets, and that is why last year when we were carrying a conversation, and for example on CNN's Richard Quest program, the main formula that was being offered to the world that fortunately did not fall on deaf ears is Trinidad and Tobago is in a unique position. We have immediate capacity in both the petchem sector, ammonia, methanol, and ammonia is needed to produce fertilizers. Food security is another big conversation in the world. You need fertilizers for that. And LNG, so we have the capacity in our plants next to proven gas reserves. So this is not about go and explore fields, see if it exists. We know Loran has over 70 CF of gas. We know Coquina Mannequin has gas. We know Dragon has gas. Those are what you call proven reserves, which literally mean drill wells, connect pipeline, bring to Trinidad and Tobago to either LNG or petchem sector. And we have pushed and marketed Trinidad and Tobago, and you are now seeing the results of that. The agreements that were signed in the past week to restructure Atlantic LNG, I'll repeat, have never been done anywhere else in the world. And what it immediately did is it opened up new potential for Trinidad and Tobago. And you asked me about timelines and time frames. Immediately, even whilst we were negotiating, we negotiated better prices for our commodities You heard the Prime Minister say on Friday, as a result of that, just in 3 areas, we've already received $11 billion that we would not have received. And now these prices kick in. The first restructuring kicks in with trains 2 and 3 in October next year, which is right around the corner. At the end of the commercial contracts. We never had shareholding in 2 and 3. But in the meantime, we are getting the benefits of additional revenue. But it will now mean we will get additional cargoes, we will get all sorts of other things, some of which we can't talk about, unfortunately. And then Train 4 kicks in at the end of the Train 4 liquefaction license, which is in 2027. But it does not wait on those dates, which is the important thing for Trinidad and Tobago. And in the meantime, I cannot overemphasize, which is why I'll repeat it, we have now opened up access to LNG. And it means that those persons looking to invest, the EOGs, the Woodsides, we've met with Petronas, we've met with ENI, there are a number of companies that are looking to invest because they recognize if they bring gas to market in Trinidad, there's now the potential in all of these various commodities.
I want to ask you the hard question about Venezuela, the politics there, Guyana, etc. Because everything is so dependent on that, even notwithstanding the other arrangements you have. But I want to ask you a quick question that kind of triggered in my mind, which is that the Chinese had an interest in Atlantic LNG, but they pulled out. How did that happen? I didn't hear any explanation of that from any source. Yeah.
Chinese had an investment, 10% in Train 1. Unfortunately, due to a depletion in gas reserves and there being a curtailment of gas, Train 1 was under difficulty. And whilst we restructured and we agreed from 2018 and we completed it, I think by end of 2018 to kick in 2019, for the future of Train 1, where the Chinese had a 10% shareholding, what happened is due to a lack of available gas, it then became a difficulty. And the question became, okay, who's going to fund this thing going forward? The Chinese, there was negotiation, they opted out because, of course, they were not going to get a future in 2, 3, and 4. This is unfortunate. These things happen. So now, across the whole of Atlantic, the shareholders will only be the 3, NGC, BP, and Shell. So the Chinese, unfortunately, came out and there was a negotiation around that because their shareholding was limited to Train 1.
All right. Thank you very much, Minister. And thank you for watching and listening. This is Freedom Monday on Zelisas, and we are talking to the Minister of Energy of Trinidad and Tobago, Honourable Stuart R, and we are talking about the recent signing with the major companies Shell and BP having to do with the restructuring of Atlantic LNG. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Venezuelan challenge of internal politics and subsequently the border conflict between Venezuela and Guyana and how that impacts on the negotiations and all of this future possibility for Trinidad and Tobago. So don't go away. This is an important conversation. So back to Zelisa now and the break.
Thank you, Doctor, and of course, thank you so much for choosing us.
So we're going to have a
as well.
minute slot there where you can...
Thanks to Docs Engineering Works Limited, Charon's Bookstores, and Lifetime Solutions Limited. Let's go to these important messages. When we return, the conversation continues.
Are you ready to own your own home? But worried about time, money, and construction? We handle it all. With Docs, you can sleep in your dream. Make a down payment of $100K or $150K and we'll build a 2 or 3 bedroom home on your unused land. A home is an investment into your future, so let's help you invest wise, invest well. Payment plans available. We're only a call away.
Charon's Bookstore. For for all your school books, stationery items, uniforms, shoes, board games, toys, and much more. Visit them at any of their 3 branches located at 24 Eastern Main Road, Quezay, San Juan. Telephone number 675-9024 or 675-3607. 53 Eastern Main Road, Tunapuna, 663-1884, 663-1476, or 645-3878. Trin City Mall, Trin City. Contact them at 640-3155.
Calm down.
Check out Charan's Bookstore.
Lifetime Solutions, manufacturer of metal roofing, panels, framing, guttering, and related products. Located lot number 26, Omera Industrial Estate in Arima. Give us a call, 646-5813 for further information. Lifetime Solutions. Give us a call today.
Get ready for comfort like never before. DAT Comfort Cooling Limited has been your choice. HVAC expert for over 35 years, and we perfected the art of making your space into the oasis you deserve. When the sun is blazing and you need the perfect escape, think Comfort Cooling Limited. Your journey to comfort is one phone call away. So don't hesitate to call us at 652-6378, 657-1451, or come down to our showroom and feel the difference. Conveniently located 24 Forest Avenue, Coquia Village, San Fernando. Email comfortcoolinglimited@gmail.com. We carry York and Coolstar, mini splits, inverted type units, cassette type, window, commercial systems, and 5 years warranty on systems. It's all happening at Comfort Cooling Limited.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Tile Expression Limited, the #1 leader in tiles. Large stock, unbeatable prices, wide variety of porcelain tiles, ceramic tiles, wall and floor tiles, residential and commercial, granite and quartz countertops. Best quality from Spain, Italy, Brazil, India and China. Tile Expression Limited, conveniently located Monroe Road, Kunapir. Telephone 693-0015 or 223-TILE.
All of our local, regional and international viewers, welcome back. Thank you so much for choosing us. Much thanks going out to the management and staff of Docks Engineering Works Limited, Charan's Bookstores and Lifetime Solutions. Welcome back to you, Doctor, and of course to the Honourable Minister.
Good morning again. Thank you for staying with us. This is Freedom Monday. I am Bo Tiwari. My guest is the Honourable Minister of Energy and Minister in the Prime Minister's Office, Stuart Young. Now, the hard question in all of this, Minister, is how are we going to deal with this? First of all, the politics of Venezuela, which has implications for the relationship between the United States and the Maduro government. And I know that you've done exceptionally well to get to the point where you actually have permission to proceed with this project. But there is still another politics now that is going on that is impinging on that. That is now complicated by the threat of possible invasion in the Essequibo, which makes it very, very difficult for all of CARICOM, but makes it very difficult for the region. And then finally, you have a situation where Trinidad and Tobago is kind of caught in the middle, because we have a national interests with Venezuela. We are integrally part of CARICOM with Guyana. And here you have this conflict now which threatens the peace, so to speak, in this part of the world. How is all of that going to affect this natural gas need, this absolute need that we have in Trinidad and Tobago?
Excellent question. Excellent question. First of all, let me say we need to kind of segregate it into two separate areas as we've done. One is there's a commercial arrangement where we're pursuing. We've spent a lot of time this morning about the need for natural gas, and not only the need, what does it mean when natural gas comes to market in Trinidad, LNG or petchems or power generation, and that we have a requirement for more gas, but also the capacity to utilize that gas. So there's a commercial arrangement. And let me just tell the people of Trinidad and Tobago through you all here this morning, this is all about for Trinidad and Tobago. And you would have seen by now, from 2016 to now, whatever obstacles come in the way, we work with it, we work around it, we find ways within the law to then find solutions, and nothing is going to change out of that space. We have faced difficulties and challenges in pursuing this with Venezuela via sanctions. We managed to find our way through that, and we are the only country that managed to get the OFAC license that we did. And then when we got the first clearance to go by the United States, of course people said, oh well, you can't pay in cash, etc. Very quietly, very efficiently, competently, we continued doing what we were doing in the background. And then in October of this year, you saw that we were given a 2-year license that we can pay in US currency, fiat currency, bolivars, etc., and pay for the gas for 2 years until the end of October 2025, which is the longest term that OFAC will grant the license. I use that as an example of, despite whatever difficulties one may face in pursuing the commercial arrangements with Venezuela, rest assured that on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago, we will do our very best. And I am privileged, I think, to be at the forefront of leading that charge with the Prime Minister, and we've delivered. Now, unfortunately, you have this quarrel and this dispute over the Essequibo region, which, by the way, is not a new dispute. So I want people to understand that and to put that in context. And as we have said very, very clearly, we are an integral part of CARICOM. I dare say we are one of the leaders in the CARICOM arrangement. And coming out of the meeting that the leaders had on Friday, you heard it reiterated again. We stand with CARICOM in calling for this to remain a zone of peace, and our position is the CARICOM position. Fortunately, it appears that there's going to be a meeting this week between the two leaders, President Maduro from Venezuela and President Irfan Ali from Guyana, and they're going to meet in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Let's see how it goes. I can't predict the future. None of us here can.
Yeah.
Right? But what I can do is give the assurance that we will continue to work on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, whilst respecting the sovereignty of various countries, but also respecting the UN Charter agreement of non-interference, non-intervention, but then also importantly in that equation, the position of CARICOM, because as CARICOM, we always say we are stronger together. So it is a very interesting line to walk.
It's delicate.
Very delicate. That's the word. But we have done it before, and we will continue to do it. There is a requirement that we continue to pursue commercial arrangements for the future of Trinidad and Tobago with Venezuela. We obviously have excellent relationships with Guyana and Venezuela, both our neighbors. Venezuela is the closest country to Trinidad and Tobago. So let's see how it unfolds. We are not naive. We don't have our heads buried in any proverbial sand by any means. And fortunately, again, through the leadership provided by the Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley, we are at the forefront of the conversations that need to take place. And at being at the CARICOM table, his leadership is coming to play there, and we will continue to do what needs to be done to maintain the region as a zone of peace, whilst pursuing, if we can, because there's always an if we can pursue the commercial arrangements.
Yeah. So you view Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves' intervention as a very positive intervention here?
I think we all must view it as a positive intervention, and even though the pen to paper came from one Prime Minister in the region, Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves, I am willing to wager a bet that that really would have been the outcome of a discussion amongst CARICOM leaders. And I've been fortunate as well to be in that space with the Prime Minister as he meets with the CARICOM leaders and has discussions. So yes, I think let's see how Thursday goes, and we will certainly continue to do what we can as a responsible member of CARICOM and a responsible neighbor of both Guyana and Venezuela to try and calm things down and make sure we head in the right direction. One thing I'd like to use the opportunity to is we have to be cautious about third parties getting involved and third parties who may be trying to instigate certain things. I'm also glad to see the next neighbor of both Guyana and Venezuela, Brazil, be invited to play a part. President Lula, who I know both President Ali and President Maduro have great relationships with. So let's see the outcome and let's hope that good sense prevails. But in the meantime, as the Minister of Energy charged with the responsibility, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, of looking to push forward Trinidad and Tobago's commercial agendas, we will continue to do the work we need to do once there's nothing stopping us from doing so. And right now at this stage, there's nothing stopping us from doing so, and we continue to do the work necessary for gas future Trinidad.
What's the best outcome that you see coming out of Tuesday's meeting in St. Vincent that would impact positively on your interests as Energy Minister of Trinidad and Tobago?
I am not, I'm experienced enough to know I am not going to speculate. I'm not going to put any cards on the table based on what is the best outcome. What I do know is that for Trinidad and Tobago and for the region, it has to be that we remain a zone of peace. There's no talk of any escalation, that the parties deal with each other in a calm manner, and that we, Trinidad and Tobago, continue to pursue in an appropriate and responsible manner, and those are the two key and critical words, once we can, our commercial arrangements.
Yeah, the discussion in St. Vincent is one thing, but there's another problem emerging in Venezuela. The discussion in St. Vincent really has to do with the border conflict
between Guyana and Venezuela.
But within Venezuela itself, you have a problem, which is that part of the concessions that have been made to Venezuela by the U.S. is really for free and fair election. You have situations internal. I know this is awkward for you to be talking about the internal affairs of Venezuela, but I am talking to you in so much as it impacts on what you might call our strategy, our interests, etc. as a country. Now, we have a situation in which the person who has emerged as the leader of the opposition there by popular vote done among the opposition parties is now banned from the election. She has taken a position saying that, I read this morning, saying that Venezuela is too aggressive in its stance towards Guyana, so there's a kind of divided position there. And at the same time, in a way, Maduro has gotten into the vein of a gold mine with his strategy, which is pulling together nationalistically, even supporters of the opposition, around the issue of Venezuelan ownership of Essequibo. But that is going to have an impact on U.S. behavior towards Venezuela. In this melee, Minister, I know I'm asking you about things that you do not have control over. I know that I'm asking you about things that are not predictable. But having said that, how do you view these kinds of things? Sitting here knowing that, look, our interest depends on this as a country.
Bo, this is not the first time. I doubt it'll be the last time. What I can say is exactly as you started off by acknowledging, I am not going to get myself involved in any country's politics, internal politics, and what is going on there, apart from to continue to call for persons to be responsible. And Venezuela is not the only one with upcoming elections and concerns about elections. We have quite a few in the Western Hemisphere in the next couple of years. So I am not getting involved in that. What I can say is, as the record will show, that as things evolve and as things affect us, you have seen us employ various strategies on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago that so far, even though there may be hurdles in the road and difficulties, we have found ways to continue to progress on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is in my veins, and that is what I will continue to do and to advocate for whilst we monitor what is going on. And I'll just tell you, Dr. Tiwari, as well as our viewers, we remain in constant contact and conversations with all of the persons and the countries that we need to be in conversation with. And part of diplomacy is you do so quietly, efficiently, effectively,
Yes.
and you don't go out broadcasting.
Yeah, you don't
so very
broadcast
often
it,
I
yeah.
have to take
Stay
a
quiet,
lot of
yes.
slack and a lot of flack from some of your former colleagues. As you mentioned opposition, I laughed because I know how an irresponsible opposition can be. And I just sit there very, very quietly, knowing the work that is taking place, knowing the conversations that are taking place, knowing that on my 8 trips to the United States, along with the Prime Minister and a few of them, who at the highest levels we've been meeting with, and that we remain in constant conversation. I threw out the other day in a debate in the Senate that the opposition brought, that up to very, very recently, a few weeks ago, the White House of the United States was in contact with me, and we were having conversations about what is taking place. And I'll just ask the country to note on the OFAC scene, we are not part of the general license that you hear people talking about that expires in April of next year. We have a license that is a very specific one that takes us to the end of October. And as you recognize, Boo, no one could predict. I certainly can't predict what will happen when I leave the studio, but what I can do is continue to push hard for the people of Trinidad and Tobago to do what we're doing quietly, hopefully effectively and efficiently, because what it does is it provides a great future for us. So we all have an idea of politics in various countries, including in our own, and the unpredictability of it. We know how parties posture, etc. And sometimes posturing means very little. So let's just observe and see what is going on. But I can tell you, the government and the Prime Minister and myself will continue to do what is appropriate for Trinidad and Tobago to make sure we're in constant conversations with the decision makers of all of the various parties involved.
Okay, that's a fair answer.
It's a truthful one.
I understand the unpredictability of it, and I understand the uncertainty of it, and I understand the lack of control over it. And because of that, I know that it's very difficult. I also understand the danger of speculation
Correct.
on outcomes that you don't have control over.
Correct.
Okay? Now, this might be my last question because it's going to take you into some discussion. Now, we really have a situation in which there's going to be a gap in natural gas production given our needs, both for the petrochemical sector and for Atlantic LNG between now and 2030. It's going to go up and down in between in that process depending on how the gas flows. But what that also means is that we're going to have a revenue problem. And the revenue problem together with the gas shortage really creates an economic problem for us. And my question is that you have put into place what you could have done with Atlantic LNG to try and secure the future. You are trying to do the best to put into place what is possible with Venezuela, notwithstanding the other circumstances. You are working at home with the natural gas possibilities, with what you might call the foreign investors involved in local deep water drilling. You're trying to do all of this, but all of this takes time. There's a kind of sequencing that you have to do. The shortfall will not be met in the morning. The revenue situation will not be fully met in the morning. How, I'm asking you as Minister of Energy, but also as Minister of Government in the Prime Minister's office, how is the government going to deal with this very dicey financial and economic situation because of our natural gas crisis?
Excellent question. And what you've already seen is we've been putting things in place. So one of the things, and I mentioned it briefly earlier, that we also negotiated in the whole discussion with the restructuring of Atlantic, and that we're negotiating in other PSCs and E&P licenses, is a better return for the natural gas. So whereas before, on average, you may be getting $2, now it's upwards of $8 and stuff because of that basket indice. And let me just say that indice pricing I've referred to is not limited to Atlantic LNG. Okay. So I've also introduced that into other PSCs, and we have been able to recover better revenue for the natural gas. So what you're seeing is we've managed to find some level of balance by getting better pricing for the people of Trinidad and Tobago for molecules. The decision to introduce the 12.5% royalty at the wellhead, where as a molecule of gas comes out, the people of Trinidad and Tobago get 12.5% of the value. Those are some of the things, as well as what I've described as better negotiations of gas contracts that we've already begun implementing. It's not going to take as long as 2030. You have Manatee coming on stream. You have other things coming on stream. Touchstone, I'm hoping for a ramp up from Touchstone, which is the first onshore natural gas in a long time. Commercial values is the first, I would say, in decades and decades and decades. So you have these things taking place. We've gone out with the shallow water bid round. There's a lot of interest by EOG and other players who expect to bring gas to market in a shorter time frame. EOG right now are working a great program where they have a drill ship here for the next 12 months, and they're drilling a number of wells, and we're working with them to give them access to different depths and these types of things. So you're going to see some maintenance of the gas until the big ones kick in, which is not going to take as long as 2030. Really, revenue that you asked about, Bo, as I say, in the gas industry, in the petchem industry as well, one of the things you all may recall the Prime Minister talked about, his last example of better revenue is $300 million US from just 2 petchem companies. We also negotiated through NGC better pricing and returns for the gas that NGC sells. So whereas people were putting pressure on us, and there was tremendous pressure because of course people wanted to maintain status quo, lower gas prices from sale of NGC to them, we fought hard, we maintained it, even though we faced with 2 of them shutting down of plants. We knew it was a negotiation tactic at the time. As a direct result of us holding ground for NGC, you got increased revenue, increased the price they were offering to what we received, $300 million US from 2021 to 2023, in that 2-year period. So these are the things that have been done in the energy sector. Outside of the energy sector, we are looking at what are the other areas that can move quicker on. So for example, the maritime industry and these types of things. But the truth is we are a hydrocarbon-based economy.
Yes.
So what have we done? We have negotiated better pricing for the reduced volumes of gas, which fortunately for Trinidad and Tobago have resulted in better revenue streams that hopefully will carry us through. And when we get these additional gas supplies on, it's going to be at those better revenue streams. So you could see an increase in revenue at the time. A lot of hope for the future.
You mentioned all the things that you're doing, like with Suriname, with other countries. And I mean, the services sector in energy here has always been fairly strong. This is an opportunity. I mean, this is going to be.
It's a basin. It's a regional basin.
Yeah, it's a kind of regional energy basin. Are you actively engaged in kind of supporting, helping, promoting, connecting energy services from Trinidad and Tobago in this basin of energy opportunity?
The answer is yes. Right? You've seen both the Prime Minister and myself go to the regional energy conferences, in particular Guyana and Suriname. I've been very active down in Suriname. Our service companies and the service providers in Trinidad are very sophisticated. They've been around for a long time doing the energy sector in Trinidad and Tobago. So they too are out there, and by all means, I always, every time I go out there, it is to promote Trinidad and Tobago. It's not to promote me as an individual or the party or the government. It is to promote Trinidad and Tobago. So they are getting the benefits. I'll just use that as a good segue into a point I've wanted to make, Bo. understand when you're constructing plants and you're constructing new infrastructure, there's always it is a different cycle of activity. So in the 90s and the 2000s, when we were building all those plants on Point Lisas, you're building all the new infrastructure offshore on the East Coast and these types of things, you're going to see a lot more activity. But once that's built, it then reduces because it's down to maintenance. You know what's happening now? As we go into the manatee phase and we go into the potential, you're going to see that rise again. So whereas people were worried and saying, look, we're seeing companies and they're moving out and they're going to Suriname or they're going to Guyana, that would be a temporary thing. As you go through the cycle now of new infrastructure, so you're going to see new infrastructure being built, the platforms, but the pipelines, because there's nothing down on the manatee side, and we're bringing that gas to shore. There's nothing out in the deep water, so you have to build the infrastructure. So these are the cycles in the energy sector, and you are starting to see the uptick in that, because Manatee is as good as FID. They signed with McDermott. McDermott is busy. They're doing the engineering plans. And as you see these things, the same thing with EOG. They've recently fabricated platforms, upside platforms in Trinidad and Tobago. Companies do things very, very quietly. And these are the things that are going on, and you're going to see more of it. But also, we stand by, as we've always said, to both Guyana and Suriname. I was speaking to Prime Minister Motley in London just a couple of days ago, and she was asking, and part of our discussion was how could Trinidad and Tobago work closer with Barbados on the potential of their hydrocarbon economy, etc. So those are the things that are happening, but they're happening very quietly, they're very efficiently.
Take time.
They do take time.
Yeah. One quick question before I go. I mean, Petrotrin has been a very complex thing to come to terms with. But I just want to ask, is anything going to happen with the plant? Are you likely to have a buyer? Are you likely to have an investor of any kind in the refinery, given that this is an energy profits?
You need a few things to make a refinery successful. The first thing you obviously need is a source of crude oil. 120,000 barrels of oil a day, you need that source. So anybody coming to restart the refinery, that is one of the first components you need to understand from them. Do you have a source of crude oil that you could put into the refinery? So there are a number of conversations taking place. I can say that I had instructed, and TPHL, the holding company, Trinidad Petroleum Holdings Limited, set up a committee that looks at all of the proposals coming in. I can also say, I don't think I'll be talking out of school, so to speak, that every time the Prime Minister travels in energy meetings, including in Saudi Arabia, etc., we speak about the potential of this refinery.
Yes.
So there are a number of entities constantly looking at it, including right now as we speak. But I can't predict whether they will be able to get the right formula, which must include a supply of crude, which must then look at, well, engineering-wise, what needs to be done to get the refinery started. It's in a state of preservation right now. So those are the things that are happening, and the government is constantly standing by, waiting and encouraging persons, if there's a potential for it to restart, please come and talk to us, and let's see how it could be restarted. And there's a specific committee set up to look at that.
Minister, I want to thank you very much for talking with me this morning and for speaking so clearly and cogently on the government position on a number of issues that impinge on Trinidad and Tobago's present and future. I want to thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. You can see it again at 3 o'clock on Synergy. I am Bo Tiwari, and this is Freedom Monday, and we are signing off now. We pass on to Zelisa. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly, Doc, and special thanks to the Honourable Minister Young for blessing us with his presence and sharing his wealth of knowledge and working towards the growth and development of Trinidad and Tobago. This is where we say thank you for choosing us. Special thanks to Doc's Engineering Works Limited, Challenge Bookstores, and of course Lifetime Solutions Limited. Here's reminding you that with God all things are possible. I am Zelisa Budu Singh Rupani. Thank you so much for choosing us.
Ready to own your own home? But worried about time, money and construction? We handle it all. With Docs, you can sleep in your dream. Make a down payment of $100K or $150K and we'll build a 2 or 3 bedroom home on your unused land. A home is an investment into your future, so let's help you invest wise, invest well. Payment plans available. We're only a call away.
Charan's Bookstore. For all your school books, stationery items, uniforms, shoes, board games, toys, and much more. Visit them at any of their 3 branches located at 24 Eastern Main Road, Quezay, San Juan. Telephone number 675-9024 or 675-3607. 53 Eastern Main Road, Tunapuna, 663-1884, 663-1476, or 645-3878. Trin City Mall, Trin City. Contact them at 640-3155.
Calm down.
Check out Charan's Bookstore.
Lifetime Solutions, manufacturer of metal roofing, panels, framing, guttering, and related products. Located lot number 26, Omera Industrial Estate in Arima. Give us a call, 646-5813 for further information. Lifetime Solutions. Give us a call today.
Get ready for comfort like never before. DAD Comfort Cooling Limited has been your choice. HVAC expert for over 35 years, and we've perfected the art of making your space into the oasis you deserve. When the sun is blazing and you need the perfect escape, think Comfort Cooling Limited. Your journey to comfort is one phone call away. So don't hesitate to call us at 652-6378, 657-1451, or come down to our showroom and feel the difference. Conveniently located 24 Forest Avenue, Coquia Village, San Fernando. Email comfortcoolinglimited@gmail.com. We carry York and Coolstar, mini splits, inverted type units, cassette type, window, commercial systems, and 5 years warranty on systems. It's all happening at Comfort Cooling Limited.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
The Mid-Center Mall Christmas Flea Market is now open. Over 400 participants. Toys, gift items, home decor, perfumes, t-shirt printing, jewelry, photo portraits, bells, wallets, and so much more. Daily live entertainment, fascinating snow show every hour from 7 p.m. Take pictures with Santa Claus. Fireworks show on Christmas Eve at 9 p.m. Open until the 31st of December, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
It's your final chance to visit the Fabindia Expo. Definitely closing on Sunday, 17 December. Get up to 80% off. All-season sale is now on. Everything must go. Get ready-made garments, furniture, footwear, jewelry, and so much more. It's your final chance to visit the Fabindia Expo. Definitely closing on 17 December.
Bridgestone Auto Electrical Company Limited. We specialize in all your car and electrical needs. Visit us today at 425 Papuri Road, Ragu Village, San Fernando, or call 657-4175 or 657-5286. Bridgestone Auto Electrical Company Limited. Check them out today.
Super quality supermarket. Best quality and great prices. Get your fresh fruits, vegetables and meats. It's a one-stop shop for the most affordable groceries, baby items, kitchen supplies, bathroom accessories, car care supplies, pet food, toys and lots more, all at Super Quality Supermarket. Wide aisles, fully air-conditioned and secured parking. 3 locations nationwide. Hoover Car Park, Hoover, 98 Endeavour Road, Chagonas, and 47 Tissue Drive, Trin City. Super Quality Supermarket.